Hi guys, this is your daily horoscope and energy reading for July 31st. We have Venus going into retrograde in Leo. So it goes out of debilitated Virgo energy, thinking about our day-to-day routines and how we can enrich them and how we can persevere. And, you know, I love the mutable energy that we did have in that Virgo transit. Yes, it probably brought up some people from our past. Yes, it probably brought up some stuff that we need to change in our day-to-day routines. I'm not going to lie, like we probably experienced that. We probably experienced some doubt in our relationships. If they're boring and they're routine and they're killing us slowly but softly, then you know what? We don't want to be in those routines. And so maybe we had some dissolutions in relationships just because the routine was tearing out our will to live. When I look at somebody's natal chart, I always tell them your rising is where you rise. It's where you shine. It's where you get up every morning and you put on your face and you go out there and you rise to the occasion, right? That's your rising sign. Your seventh house, the opposite house of your rising sign, is where you fall. It's where you fall in love, and it's where you fall the frick on your ass. Okay? It's who you are. Others show you who you are. Everything that you lack, everything that you don't have. If you're attracting a partner that is a crappy partner, guess what? There's something crappy inside you. And I know that's not popular to hear, but I'm not a popular astrologer, so I don't really give a crap about saying what's popular. What I want you to see is if you're attracting a narcissist, or if you're attracting abusers, or if you're attracting people that don't work, or if you're attracting people that they don't generate a healthy feeling in you, then there's something in you that is not healthy. That's allowing. Okay, a healthy person isn't going to settle for a loser, isn't going to settle for somebody that doesn't enrich their lives. A healthy person wants them to be a self-sufficient person and be a contribution to the relationship. If you don't feel that you're worthy enough for a relationship, then a really healthy relationship, somebody that's not codependent on you, somebody that doesn't rely on your money, rely on your status, rely on your ability to take care of them, and they give you nothing back. If that is how you are defining yourself, and that if that is what you are attracting, look at your partner. Is your partner a reflection of you? This is what I want you to look at in this Venus transit. Because when Venus retrograde moves into Leo, it is a reflection of you, okay? When it was in Virgo, it was a reflection of how you perform your day-to-day tasks, right? It's where you're lacking in your day-to-day tasks. It's where you're lacking in your day-to-day routines. It's where you're lacking in your mental health and well-being and your physical health and well-being, right? It's where you're lacking in that area. It's testing that area. So if you have a lazy slug of a partner, right? And you're an active partner, you're not going to feel fulfilled all of a sudden with that slug, right? You're either going to tell them to get the hell off the couch and let's go, I don't know, paddleboarding, because that's what I like to do. And if they don't like to do that, then they're not going to satisfy you. That's what it was like having your Venus transit in Virgo. You know, if you felt that you were always succumbing to their whims, then that wasn't a strong mental well-being partner, and the day-to-day routine is taking care of them, but you're sacrificing your mental well-being. That was all Virgo stuff. You saw that. It tested it. Some people had relationships that suddenly broke. People who were codependent suddenly became aware, oh my God, I'm codependent. Oh, you know, and I'm taking care of this addicted person, or I'm taking care of this person that constantly takes advantage of me because I am a very giving and loving soul. So you had that tested when you had your Venus and Virgo transit. Now we're talking about a whole different world. So it goes from Venus and Virgo and it drops back into Leo. And when it does that, this is time for you to look at you. So your partner is mirroring you. So you know what? If you're laying around, if your partner's laying around like a slug, 9 times out of 10, you've allowed yourself to fall into slug-like patterns. Okay, I'm going to be honest. You know, if you know, you're in a financial crisis and you have a partner that doesn't give even 50%, and you're working 2 jobs to try to get yourself out, and you're looking at your partner, why are you settling for a partner that doesn't give as much as you give? This is what you're going to be asking yourself during this transit. Now, we have a full moon. And this full moon is going to be in Aquarius. Now, thankfully, I love a full moon in Aquarius. It's emotionally detached. This is not a heavily aspected full moon, thank God, because it's a moon in opposition. But I always tell you, a moon in opposition is just 2 energies that are here that are really honestly desiring to be here. So I want to talk about this day because I like to talk about this day as it starts. When I look at energy transferring into another energy, and this is going to be a long reading, and I'm really sorry, but it's very important that you understand where energy is at the time that the energies switch. I believe that is a monumental sign of what is to come. So I want you guys to understand that the first house, how you see yourself, the picture that you put out into the world, when you meet people, that's what they read. That's who you are. That's the face they see. Now, you have a deeper inner core. That's Leo. That's that authentic stuff. That's that ego-oriented stuff. Deep inside, that's the heart of you. But people don't always see that. A lot of people hide all that stuff. I know that I do. And so the person that everybody sees in me, Gemini. I'm not a Gemini. I'm a sweet little Cancer, and I got a little spicy little Leo-ness in there that comes out, like, roars out every once in a while when I have energy of Leo pumping through me like a freaking magnet. But for the most part, you don't see that. You see all this Gemini energy that's super mutable and goes with the flow, childlike, happy. That first house is going to be opposing Neptune. Don't get too mutable to where you're unrealistic about what you're portraying, okay? Guys, don't be fake. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you're going to get called out on it, or you're going to call somebody out on it. If you start seeing this BS from somebody's first house, if you're going to start saying, you know, I know that you're selling me this package, but I'm not buying it. It's because they're trying to put on a mask or a face for you that they ideally hope that they are or that they want to be. But hopefully, because this Venus is in retrograde, you're going to see through that and you're going to be like, oh, that's freaking not who you are, you freaking liar. And you're going to call people out on it. Or maybe somebody's going to call you out on it if you're the unauthentic one. Another energy that I see strongly at play here is that we have the 10th house. So that's your life purpose, your goal in life, your authentic purpose, your life path destiny. That is going to be quincunxing Pluto. So if you are falling into childlike behavior, if you are falling into, you are trying not to be accountable for your behavior, if you are falling into being two-faced and lying and trying to perceive that you're something different than you are to try to get away with stuff, especially, like, say if you are a car salesman and you continually to get that commission, you're trying to sell people lemons. Today is not a day to do that. You are going to get called out. You are going to get your ass handed to you because people are going to see, you know what, you're not being authentic with me. I said I need a car for my kid to go to school every day safely, and you're freaking selling me this car that has an oil leak. So if that's what you're like, because this is all in sales energy, it's in communication. If you're talking a sweet talk and it's all talk but no action, and you're trying to sell somebody that life path destiny that you want, but you don't have anything to authentically give, the jig is up. The jig is up. You're sold out, my friend. So don't even try to do it on this day. You won't be successful. And you will find that you will fall into patterns that may be poor coping methods because somebody called you on and saw through your mask and just, you know, and it's going to detour your life path. Maybe somebody throws you, you know, maybe somebody saw through you and throws you that unexpected, you know, thing that you didn't expect. And so you go down this road of like falling into addiction or falling into poor coping methods to try to escape. Today is going to be about a day of escaping for many of you if you got called out on your issues. And then you're going to fall into a quincunx, and a quincunx is a flat out opposition. You are going to go down a road that is going to be awakening, and that's when I think you'll fall into this full moon in Aquarius. It's going to be an accumulation of being accountable for your crappy actions that you've been doing. Now, the sun in Leo is going to quincunx Neptune in Pisces. So again, this happens to do, if people are giving you the illusion that they are something more than you are, then your sun in Leo is a fierce sun. I know, I have one. I don't take no crap from anybody, and I will call you on your crap faster than you've ever seen. It's like if you own who you are and if you live authentically and you don't, you know what? It's not about always thinking about others. It's about sometimes just living authentically for a Leo. And you know what? An authentic Leo goes out there, stands on stage and gets booed and goes out and does it again. Okay? So if we don't get what we want, okay, we'll go get what we want somewhere else. But we want to know where we stand. Pride is a big deal. Respect is a big deal in a Leo sun. So as long as respect is given in this day, you won't fall into these weird quincunx energies and these oppositions. Now, Uranus in Aries is going to be squaring off with Mars in Cancer. So today, if somebody starts to try to pull the wool over your eyes and tries to think they want to personify themselves as something of like, you know, I'm just an angel, I'm your knight in shining armor, you know, I'm amazing, something unexpected could come up to derail you or to, you know, when there is a full moon, the way that I like to describe a full moon is that it's like when the moon comes out and it's not clouded, it lights the shadow side of people's behavior. Who you are at night is different than who you are during the day. And so if you are under a spotlight of who you are at night, everybody can see who you are. And that's what happens. So a lot of people find out really terrible things on a full moon, right? And I'm thinking that this has something to do with the way that you personify yourself, the way that you communicate. I think this has a lot to do with friendships. I think this has a lot to do with friendships maybe getting out of control, or, you know, maybe friendships being a central focus. You guys, if you need help of knowing whether this is going to personally affect you, I did a sun sign series so that you guys can go back and say, oh, this is my second house, this is my third house, this is my fourth house. And then you guys can know, and that's in my monthly forecast. So you guys can know where this full moon is going to affect you particularly. But I think I don't think it's a bad full moon. I think there's a lot going on in this full moon, but for the most part, that's because we have this Venus in retrograde going into Leo. I don't think it has a lot to do with necessarily the full moon. I think we'll have some accumulations, because here's the thing. We need to have things accumulate in us to understand what we want for our future. So we need this realization to happen. I honestly believe this is going to be a realization type month and full moon, and not so much like it was at the very beginning of the month where it was the Cancer full moon that just, I'm serious, handed me my ass. But of course I have a lot of Cancer placements. So, you know, it's understandable that it did that, but I just want you to understand that this is a beautiful energy. But I'm a little nervous about the fact that Uranus in Aries is going to be squaring off with Pluto in Capricorn and squaring off with Mars in Cancer. This is an emotional energy. This is if somebody's pulling the wool over your eyes, you're going to become emotional about it. You're going to have an emotional response. With this Aquarius full moon, that person may not like your emotional response, the fact that it affects you so deeply. They may have a disconnected approach to you that may piss you off and wound you and hurt you a little bit. And you may just decide, F you should care more about my feelings. And you may have this unexpected reaction that's ignited by Uranus and Aries. And also, this has to do with self-empowerment. So if somebody is not caring about your feelings or not caring about the way you're authentically interpreting this, then it's going to be like, you know what? That's taking away my personal power. I stand up for myself. I've got all this Leo heart, this Leo sun, I've got Jupiter and Leo expanding anything that I go through as far as in, I need to be evaluating my relationships. And so if you come up with anything and it expands this, it's going to set off Uranus. And, this could be one of these. It's just going to be a freaking crazy day. I understand that Aquarius energy kind of digs this kind of hysteria. You can actually disconnect it from it and kind of watch it from afar and be like, that's an interesting show. And, really decipher it and really say, you know what? You suck. Bye. It's going to be kind of like that energy. The thing I like about this is that if something emotional does come up and it strikes your Cancer in Mars and you have this big emotional reaction to it, sets off Uranus and Aries, I think that, the savior in this is going to be your moon. Here's something that I find super duper duper fascinating, and then I'm going to end it. Saturn in Scorpio in retrograde is going to be trining Mars in Cancer and trining the South Node in Aries. And I want to talk about this because, again, Saturn isn't building obstacles for us right now. It's allowing us to make our choices. It's let us out of the classroom. It's given us all the tools. We've done all of our coursework. We've turned it all into Saturn. Saturn's at the very end of its transit in the very last degrees. And so we've sat in Saturn's classroom. Saturn has extensively taught us based on our natal transit area. And it said, these are your survival skills. I've given you all the tools. It was your job to do all the homework. It was your job to do all, and turn it all in and do all the tests and pass them. It was your job to face the obstacles and overcome them and not submit to them. And if you submitted to them and didn't show up for class and then called in and said, Saturn, I'm just too tired, and you bailed out on the next lesson, you know what? You lost that lesson for the day. That's your freaking problem. I always tell my students at school, it's like, you know what? I'm not your mama. Don't come to school. You lose out on a lesson that day. So sorry for you. I'm not a micromanager. And you know what? There's a value in going to school every day and sitting in Saturn's classroom and working through everything. And if you can't freaking do that, then you miss some pretty prominent lessons, and then that's when Saturn will probably hand your ass this week. But I think for the most part, all of us sat through those classes because, I have been extensively telling you to pay attention to Saturn. And I've been telling you that unless you pay attention to Saturn, you won't get to go over to Jupiter's classroom, because Jupiter is the advanced course. I think Saturn to me is like the Mercury course, your day-to-day routines, how to get more control over your life, how to set up a really good routine for your life path destiny every single day to get you to that next level. And then by the time you figure all that out, then I think you get to go over to Jupiter, and Jupiter's like, hey guys, I'm going to give you all this stuff to go work with. Now go embark on it and take off with it, because you've went through the extensive course. It's kind of like all the schooling that led up to your bachelor's degree, and you get your bachelor's degree, and then you go on to the next level of your courses. And that is what I equate it to. So guys, enjoy this transit. This is a glorious day. Yes, there is opposition and quincunx energy. I think if you get lost in just stupid energy that doesn't allow you to face who you are, and if you decide to move into denial, if you decide to fall into poor coping methods, if you say, okay, you know what, this isn't working for me, this is way too much reality, and you fall into addiction, poor coping methods, if you run away, if you avoid, if you get lost in the illusion of who you are versus who you are going to fall into some coping energy that is not good. You're going to fall into quincunxes, you're going to fall into squares, and you're going to fall into oppositions. For those of you who are in a good place, guys, this is a glorious futuristic, pivotal moon that will, it'll catapult you forward, and it will make you, it's kind of like, I want to equate it to the flux capacitor you know, in Back to the Future, where God, why am I not remember his name? Anyhow, the scientist falls down and hits his head on the toilet, and he comes up with the flux capacitor, right? And he writes it down, but he doesn't know what it does. And it's kind of like that energy, where you're gonna fall down, hit your head, and you're gonna have the flux capacitor come into your head, and it will set up the entire rest of your future in this day. This day is a pivotal energy. I hope you have a fantastic day, guys. Woo! A lot to talk about, but fantastic energy, and I look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow.